The notification chimed in through my phone, piercing the heavy silence that had settled over my apartment since Mum's funeral. My finger hovered above the screen as I stared at the Instagram icon. It was a strange reflex to reach for her account without thinking twice. Mum had always been hesitant about social media. She didn't see the point of putting her life on display, preferring real connections and meaningful conversations. Yet, since passing away 2 weeks ago, Mum's long-dormant profile seemed to be awakening, one cryptic comment at a time. My curiosity was piqued by Dennis932, whose messages appeared daily beneath posts she hadn't even made in years. The name was familiar, yet foreign. I couldn't recall him ever being mentioned in our conversations. Mum had always been guarded about her past, so perhaps this commenter was someone from a period of her life I wasn't privy to. I clicked on the comments section and read over his messages. "What's that old song you like to sing along to when you're alone? The one with the piano? You said once you'd never regret taking that spontaneous trip. What did you mean by that? Why do you always leave a single rose on your birthday cake just for me?" The comments were poignant and personal, as if Dennis9302 knew her inside out, or rather, had known her before I was born. I scrolled back through the years, scanning through old posts and photos. Mum's Instagram profile hadn't been updated since I graduated from college 5 years ago. The captions beneath these archival memories were equally cryptic. "Remember this, you called me a free spirit. Why did you have to leave so early? I still can't believe we got lost on the way home." These messages spoke of moments and feelings Mum had never shared with me. In death, she seemed more forthcoming than in life. A chill ran down my spine as I realized these comments hadn't been posted by some automated bot or algorithmic glitch. There was an actual person behind them, conversing with my mother across the vast expanse of time and mortality. And yet, why didn't he come forward when she was alive? Why did it take her passing to revive this strange connection in their pain without fear of being labeled weak or unresolved? In contrast to my real-life grief support groups that felt more like obligatory meetings, this online community seemed genuine and heartfelt. I couldn't help but wonder if Mum might have found solace here too. With the click of a button, I registered for an account under a pseudonym, Mum's Girl, and began reading posts by other grieving individuals. It was as if I had stumbled upon a hidden world beneath the surface of social media, one where people were finally able to confront their sorrow without pretenses. And amidst these strangers' stories, Mum's cryptic comments seemed less odd, more like echoes from another life. I realized then that my mother's Instagram account wasn't just a relic of the past. It had become a bridge between her memory and mine, connecting me to those who understood my pain. And so I found myself typing out a reply to Dennis932, my fingers hovering over the send button as anticipation built inside me. What would happen next? Would he respond? And what secrets might this enigmatic commenter reveal about my mother's life before she became Mum? Mum was quite the presence, warm, caring, yet fiercely protective when it came to her loved ones. Hearing such personal details about my mother filled me with both comfort and a hint of melancholy. I could almost see her radiant smile as she engaged with these kindred spirits. As our conversation flowed, so did the hours. Before I knew it, the sun had set outside my apartment, casting an orange glow over the cityscape. The night air felt heavy with anticipation for what lay ahead, not just in this online realm, but also in my life as a whole. With Dennis's replies piling up, I realized that our exchange had taken on a life of its own. It was no longer simply about Mum and her mysterious comments. It had become an intimate dialogue between two grieving souls navigating the uncharted territories of loss. And for now, I was content to remain lost within these digital threads, savoring each new revelation and connection they brought me. The soft glow of my laptop screen illuminated my face as I leaned in closer, eyes scanning Dennis's latest message. It contained a link to an article about anonymous online communities providing solace for those struggling with grief, mental health issues, or isolation. Beneath the headline he'd written, "I think you'll find this interesting given your circumstances." My heart skipped a beat as I clicked on the link, my mind racing ahead to what discoveries awaited me in the dark recesses of the internet. And so I embarked on yet another journey through cyberspace, one that promised answers but carried with it an equal measure of risk and uncertainty, just like any true exploration into the unknown. With a growing sense of anticipation, I scrolled through the article Dennis had shared with me, my finger hovering over the Read More button as if in silent plea for it to yield the secrets hidden within its digital depths. The link, my mind racing ahead to what discoveries awaited me in the dark recesses of the internet. And so I embarked on yet another journey through cyberspace, one that promised answers but carried with it an equal measure of risk and uncertainty, just like any true exploration into the unknown. As the words on the screen began to dance before my eyes, a sudden chill ran down my spine. The article spoke of a particular online community founded by someone named Amber, a woman who had herself suffered unimaginable loss but found solace in creating a space where others could share their stories without fear of judgment or reprisal. I felt an inexplicable pull toward this mysterious figure, as if she held the key to understanding the cryptic comments that had haunted me since Mum's passing. My curiosity piqued. I delved deeper into Amber's story, her tragic past, her creation of the online refuge, and the countless lives she'd touched with her compassion and wisdom. And then, like a whisper in my ear, I stumbled upon the name of the community, the Shadows of Grief. Something within me stirred at the words. It was as if they resonated with an echo from my own past, a secret place where grief and longing had once dwelled unseen. A shiver ran down my spine as I clicked on the link to join this shadowy realm, unsure what awaited me, but certain that it held a piece of myself I'd been unable to reclaim in the wake of Mum's death. With trembling fingers, I typed out my username, Emma's Echo, and submitted my request to enter the sanctuary Amber had built. The screen flickered as I waited for approval, my mind swirling with apprehension and anticipation alike. Had I truly found a place where I belonged? Would these strangers be able to understand me in ways that Alex or even Dennis could not? And then, with an eerie serenity, the message appeared. Welcome, Emma's Echo. You are now part of the Shadows of Grief. In that instant, I felt the weight of my isolation begin to lift. I was no longer alone, lost in a sea of digital silence. Instead, I had found a community of fellow travelers, each navigating their own labyrinth of pain and loss with courage and resilience. My heart swelled as I clicked on the community link, eager to explore this new world that promised solace, understanding, and perhaps even redemption. And as I stepped into the Shadows of Grief, I knew that nothing would ever be the same again, not for me, nor for those who waited within its shadows. As I immersed myself in the Shadows of Grief, I found solace in the collective grief that permeated every post, comment, and message board thread. Members shared their most intimate stories, struggles, and triumphs, all under the guise of anonymity, yet with an unspoken bond of understanding that transcended words alone. It was within these digital shadows that I first encountered Dennis 9302 again, his enigmatic presence now amplified by the community's embrace. He appeared to be a pillar among us, offering guidance and support to those who sought it. His comments were laced with empathy and wisdom, each one a testament to his own journey through grief. One evening, as I perused a thread discussing the challenges of maintaining relationships during times of mourning, Dennis 9302's name caught my attention once more. He had responded to a newcomer's query about how best to reconcile their partner's lack of understanding with their own need for solace within the shadows. His reply was profound. Grief is a labyrinth, and we all navigate it differently. It's essential to remember that your journey, though uniquely yours, is valid and deserving of respect. Communicate openly and honestly about your needs, but also be patient and kind toward those who struggle to comprehend. Love can evolve and adapt, even if it doesn't always look the same as before. His words resonated deeply within me, speaking directly to the unspoken tensions between Alex and myself. In that moment, I realized how Dennis's own experiences might have shaped his insights. a curiosity that propelled me to reach out with an impromptu message. Dennis 9302. Your comments here are invaluable to so many of us. Could you tell me more about yourself? How has your journey through grief influenced the community we found in the shadows? And messy, but ultimately rewarding. If you're willing to embark on this path with me, then perhaps we could share our stories. But please understand, it won't be easy. The weight of his words settled upon me like a shroud. I had known from the start that digging into Mum's online life would mean confronting aspects of her I hadn't fully comprehended, secrets and desires she'd kept hidden, even from those closest to her. It was a daunting prospect, but one I couldn't turn away from. "Okay," I typed back, my voice steady despite the turmoil within me. "I'm ready." A few days passed before Dennis responded again. When he did, it wasn't with another message, but rather an invitation to meet in person at a local cafe just outside the city limits. My heart raced as I stared at the screen, wondering if I should accept. But something about his words resonated deeply within me. Sometimes, when we're surrounded by darkness, it's the smallest glimmers of light that can help us find our way. I couldn't deny the spark of hope his message ignited inside me. Perhaps, in meeting Dennis face to face, I could begin to unravel some of Mum's mysteries and find a sense of peace amidst the chaos. With a deep breath, I hit reply and typed out my acceptance. Yes, I'll be there. The day of our rendezvous arrived with a mix of excitement and trepidation. As I walked toward the cafe, its rustic exterior promising warmth and comfort inside, my mind raced with possibilities. What would Dennis look like? Would he resemble Mum in any way? How would we even begin to converse about such intimate subjects? But as I locked eyes with Dennis that afternoon, I knew one thing for certain. This was just the beginning of a story far more compelling than anything any algorithm could craft. As we settled in, I couldn't help but notice the stark contrast between Dennis's presence here, in the flesh, versus our virtual interactions. The warmth emanating from his body, the gentle contours of his features, these were sensations that had previously been lost to me. Now, as I took a sip of my coffee and gazed at him over the rim of my cup, it struck me just how much of ourselves we reveal online without even realizing it. "What inspired you to reach out to Mum on Instagram?" I asked, leaning forward slightly. "There's clearly more to your connection than just random comments." Dennis seemed to consider this for a moment before responding in a low, contemplative tone. "I suppose it began with a shared sense of loneliness. Mum and I both understood the peculiar nature of grief, that feeling of being disconnected from everyone around you, even as you're surrounded by people who claim they care." He paused, letting his words sink in. I could practically see the memories flooding back for him. "In those early days after my wife passed away," he continued, "I found solace in Mum's posts about Dad, the way she honored his memory. Through stories, photos, and that sense of longing, it reminded me of what I was missing. So I started leaving comments, hoping to forge some connection with another grieving soul out there. It wasn't until much later that I realized Mum had taken notice too, and we began exchanging these cryptic messages back and forth." "And Amber?" I asked, remembering the woman who had founded this peculiar grief community. "How did she figure into your story?" A flicker of sadness crossed Dennis's face before he spoke. "Amber. Her husband was killed in a tragic accident just days after their wedding. She lost him to an instant and senseless violence, something that shattered her world, just as Mum's cancer had destroyed ours. Amber found solace in creating the Shadows of Grief group, offering others a safe space to share their pain without judgment or expectation. It was through there that I met Mum, and later, you. Tell me more about Amber," I urged, sensing the weight of his story yet to be told. "What made her decide to create such an unconventional community?" Dennis's expression turned somber as he recounted the tale of Amber's tragedy and subsequent descent into despair. His words painted a picture of grief so profound that it seemed to swallow everything in its path. As we sat there, lost in the labyrinthine paths of loss and recovery, I realized that Mum's Instagram account had become a doorway to something much larger than myself. It had led me down a rabbit hole of human connection and sorrow, and in doing so, had changed the course of my life forever. In the midst of such darkness, we had found light, and perhaps, in time, we would find a way to guide others through the shadows as well. I'm glad I could help illuminate some of the mysteries surrounding your mum's account, Dennis said, his voice a soothing balm to my frazzled nerves. "Be home any minute now." My heart skipped a beat as anxiety surged through me. How much should I reveal to him about my involvement with the grief community and Mum's Instagram account? Would he understand the depth of emotion and connection these things had brought into my life? "Hey, look at the time," Dennis said, noticing my distraction. "You'd better get going soon." I nodded, already scrolling through messages on my phone in search of an excuse to delay our meetup a bit longer. But before I could send anything, a notification popped up from work, an urgent email from HR requesting an immediate conference call. My stomach twisted into knots as I quickly shot Dennis an apologetic look. "I'm sorry, but there's something that came up at work. I have to take this." He smiled sympathetically and leaned back in his chair. "Take your time. These things can't be rushed anyway. Go deal with whatever needs your attention, and then we can finish catching up later." As I stood up and gathered my things, Dennis's words echoed through my mind. Take your time. Easy for him to say when he wasn't facing the impending storm of questions and scrutiny that awaited me back at the office. But for now, I had a call to make, and as I walked away from our small table in the corner of the cafe, I couldn't help but wonder what other unexpected twists lay ahead on this strange, winding journey through grief and connection. I hurried back to my car, heart pounding in anticipation as I hit join call on my phone. The HR representative's stern voice filled my ear as soon as the line connected. "We've been made aware of some unusual activity on your mother's social media accounts," she said, her tone professional but with an undercurrent of disapproval. "As a result, we're conducting an internal review to determine whether this reflects poorly on our company's ethics or policies." My mind raced as I tried to anticipate the worst while still processing what she was saying. Unusual activity. What exactly did that mean? Frustration knowing I couldn't reveal my own involvement without raising more red flags. Instead, I offered an explanation that seemed plausible enough. Mum had a small group of close online friends who liked to engage in light-hearted banter and support each other through tough times. It was nothing nefarious. After a tense few minutes of back and forth, the HR rep finally agreed to put the review on hold while I conducted my own investigation into the matter. I hung up, relief washing over me, but it was short-lived. As I started the car and pulled out onto the road, my phone buzzed again with a message from Amber. "Hey Emma, hope you can join our private chat tonight for an important discussion about Mum's account. We'll be sharing some new insights that might help us better understand what's going on." I winced at the mention of the private chat, knowing Alex would not approve of my continued involvement in this secret online world. But Amber had been a steady source of support and guidance throughout, so I couldn't just ignore a request. As I navigated the winding roads back to the city, a new worry gnawed at me. How would I possibly balance this emerging online life with the demands of my job and Alex's growing unease? It seemed like everything was spiraling out of control. Yet somehow, amid all the chaos, I felt strangely more alive than I had in months. When I finally pulled into our apartment complex parking lot, dusk had settled over the city. The lights of passing cars cast an eerie glow as I hurried up to my door, feeling both exhausted and exhilarated by the day's events. As I stepped inside, Alex was already home from work, sprawled on the couch with a book in hand. He looked up at me with concern etched across his features, a look that had become increasingly frequent lately. "Hey," he said softly, setting aside his novel. "Everything okay? You seem a bit on edge." I hesitated before replying, unsure how much to reveal. But Alex was my rock, the one person who always had my back. So I took a deep breath and spilled the beans. Well, most of them anyway. "I got called into HR today," I began, settling onto the couch beside him. Apparently someone reported some suspicious activity on Mum's Instagram account. Suspicious? What kind of activity? Alex frowned. Well, apparently there were lots of cryptic messages being sent and rapid-fire likes, I explained. HR thinks it might reflect badly on our company since she was a former employee. His expression darkened further as he listened to my account of the call. When I finished, he shook his head vigorously. Emma, this is exactly why you need to step back from all this mum nonsense. It's clearly getting out of hand. I felt a flare of resentment at his words. Did he really not understand? But before I could respond, my phone buzzed again with another message. It read, "Hey Emma," it read, "just wanted to remind you we're having our community chat in an hour. Hope to see you there." Alex's eyes widened as he saw the screen. "You're joining this secret group again?" he asked incredulously. "Emma, please." But I was already shaking my head. "I know it worries you," I said gently, reaching for his hand, "but this community has been a lifeline for me during my darkest moments." He squeezed my fingers but still looked unconvinced. "Just be careful, okay? And promise me you won't let these online strangers push you further away from reality." I nodded solemnly. "I promise." But as I watched him settle back into his book, a small part of me wondered if he really understood the depths of my grief, or the strange solace that this secret world had become for me. As night began to fall outside our apartment window, I slipped away to my bedroom and picked up my phone. It was time to reconnect with the Shadows of Grief community, where I might find the answers and perhaps some measure of peace I so desperately craved. I settled onto my bed, scrolling through the Shadows of Grief chat on my phone, while Alex continued to read in our living room. As I logged in, a wave of familiar comfort washed over me. The warm glow of shared pain and understanding that these online strangers had come to represent. "Hey everyone," I wrote as I signed on. "Sorry for the delay tonight." The responses started trickling in almost immediately. "Welcome back, Emma." Amber chimed in first, her avatar a simple black silhouette. "We missed you. How are you doing?" I took a deep breath and began to type out my thoughts, trying to distill the past few days into something coherent. As I finished composing my message, I hesitated for a moment before sending it off. My boyfriend Alex got upset when he found out about this community and my mom's Instagram account. He doesn't understand why it means so much to me. I feel like I'm caught between my need to heal and the fear of losing him. Immediately, a flood of supportive messages filled my screen. "You're not alone," Amber assured me. "We've all been in your shoes at some point." Another commenter offered words of wisdom. "Sometimes it takes losing someone or something before we truly understand their value." I smiled weakly as I read through the replies, feeling a little less isolated and confused by the outpouring of empathy. Then my phone buzzed again with an unknown number. "Just wanted to remind you that you've got friends here who understand exactly what you're going through." I recognized the sender's username. It was Dennis, one of the first commenters on my mom's old account. He and I had exchanged a few cryptic messages since our in-person meetup for Amber's community, but this was the longest message he'd sent me. "Thanks, Dennis," I replied quickly. "Your words really help." "I'm glad to hear that." His response came back almost instantly. "I know how tough it can be out there when everyone else seems to have their lives figured out. But trust me, you're not alone in this mess either." His message made me pause, and I stared at my phone for a moment, turning over his words in my mind. There was something about Dennis that felt different from the rest of the Shadows of Grief community, an authenticity or vulnerability to his interactions with me that I couldn't quite put my finger on. As I pondered this further, another text chimed in on the group chat. "Hey everyone," it began, but my heart skipped a beat as I realized who had sent it. "Alex." "Emma," he wrote. "I know we talked earlier, but I was thinking more about everything you said and, well, I guess I just wanted to apologize for being so hard on you lately. Maybe I'm still not fully understanding your perspective on all this." My eyes widened in surprise as I read his words. A mix of emotions swirling inside me. Gratitude, relief, and a lingering unease about how much to reveal from my secret world with the shadows of grief community. With Alex's apology hanging in the air, I hesitated before responding, unsure which path to take. As I sat there, scrolling through the chat and contemplating what to say next, another notification popped up on my screen, this one from my workplace email account. My heart sank as I read the subject line: confidential investigation regarding former employees' online activity. The text mentioned the potential scandal related to the dormant Instagram account of my recently deceased mother, threatening both our reputation and my job security if not handled carefully. As the weight of these new developments settled upon me, my mind raced with concern about how to address this crisis while still protecting the shadows of grief community that had become so crucial to my healing process. My thoughts were interrupted by a gentle knock at the bedroom door. "Hey, you okay in there?" Alex asked softly through the wood. I looked up from my phone and took a deep breath before getting up to join him in the living room, knowing that whatever happened next, both my professional and personal worlds had just become infinitely more complicated. "Hey," I said quietly as I entered the living room. Alex immediately standing up to greet me with an empathetic expression. We hugged tightly for a moment before he pulled back, his eyes filled with concern. "I know things have been tough lately," he began gently, "but whatever's going on here, it can't be all bad if you're involved in something that means so much to you." I nodded slowly, trying to put my thoughts into words. "It's just, the shadows of grief community was a lifeline for me when Mum passed away, and now I'm not sure how much longer I'll have access to it if the scandal at work gets out of control." I explained about the email notification from HR regarding my mother's dormant Instagram account. Alex listened attentively as I spoke, his eyes never leaving mine. When I finished, he shook his head, a hint of frustration in his voice. "So now you're caught between your job and this online community that's become so important to you. That doesn't seem fair." "It isn't," I agreed. "Mum always had a secret life on Instagram, and I've been trying to understand the connections she made there. But if my workplace finds out about it all, they might think I'm involved in some kind of misconduct, which would be disastrous for me professionally." Alex frowned deeply, his mind clearly racing as he considered our situation. "What if you explained everything to them?" he suggested hesitantly. "Maybe you could convince them that your involvement with the Shadows of Grief community isn't a problem at all. Maybe they'll understand it's just another side of your personality." "I've thought about that," I admitted, feeling a wave of anxiety wash over me. "But what if they don't believe me? What if they decide to fire me on the spot?" Alex stepped closer and took my hands in his, giving them a reassuring squeeze. "Then we'll figure something else out. You have so much going for you professionally. Surely there's another job out there that will understand your situation." I smiled weakly at him, trying to muster some optimism despite the uncertainty hanging over us both. "Thanks for being here for me," I said sincerely. "I'm always here for you, Em," Alex replied softly, his eyes filled with warmth and devotion. "Now let's think this through logically and come up with a plan. We'll face whatever challenges lie ahead together." I felt a glimmer of hope at his words, realizing that no matter what happened next, I had Alex by my side to support me through it all, just as the Shadows of Grief community had supported me during my darkest days. With renewed determination and an unspoken promise between us, we began brainstorming strategies for addressing the workplace investigation while preserving my connection with the online grief community that had become a part of who I was. As night turned into early morning, our combined efforts yielded a plan born out of love and mutual understanding, one that would allow me to protect both my professional life and my spiritual home in the shadows of grief. With Alex's unwavering support, I felt empowered to face whatever lay ahead, knowing that together we could navigate even the most complex challenges life had thrown our way. As we sat there, hands clasped tightly as a symbol of unity and resolve, I couldn't help but wonder what other secrets my mother might have left behind in her digital legacy, and how they would impact our lives moving forward. As the first light of dawn seeped through the blinds, I sat in our living room with Alex, clutching the plan we'd devised against the mounting uncertainty ahead. The coffee table was littered with notes, sketches, and discarded ideas that had not made the cut, but they served as a testament to the depth of our collaboration. Alex reached out, gently tracing the lines on my face. "You're going to be okay, Em." His voice was soft, laced with reassurance. I squeezed his hand, drawing strength from his presence. We'd been through a lot already, but never something as potentially explosive as this workplace scandal tied to Mum's dormant Instagram account. The thought alone made my stomach twist into knots. "We need to be prepared for the worst," I said, forcing myself to focus on the tangible details of our plan rather than succumbing to worry and doubt. "If they decide to take action against me, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it." Alex's expression turned grim. A silent vow etched across his features as he leaned in closer. "You won't face this alone, I promise." His lips brushed against mine, offering solace and courage. With renewed resolve, we tackled the next steps of our strategy, outlining a clear course of action to mitigate any fallout from my workplace while maintaining my role within the Shadows of Grief community. The more we discussed it, the clearer it became that this crisis could actually bring about an opportunity, a chance to redefine how grief support was perceived and approached in both online and offline spaces. As dawn gave way to morning, we took a brief break from planning, sitting side by side on the couch with our arms wrapped around each other. Outside, the city began its daily rhythm, oblivious to the weight of secrets hidden within digital profiles. I wondered how many others were still out there, navigating their own complex relationships between loss and connectivity. "Remember Amber's story?" Alex asked suddenly, his voice tinged with contemplation, "about how she found solace in anonymity online after losing her child." I nodded, recalling the poignant tale of a mother's anguish giving birth to an oasis of empathy. "Yes, it reminds me that grief can manifest in so many ways, and we can't always see the depths of someone's pain." Alex turned to face me, his eyes burning with intensity. "Exactly. And by acknowledging this, perhaps we can start to break down the stigmas surrounding grief, both in person and online." His words resonated within me, filling. A wave of determination washed over me as I looked at Alex, his eyes locked on mine with unwavering support. Together, we had forged a plan to revive Mum's Instagram account as a tribute, ensuring her digital legacy lived on while navigating the potential fallout from our workplace investigation. The shadows of the grief community still loomed large in my mind, but now they represented solace and understanding rather than secrets and isolation. As morning light crept through the blinds, we began to put our plan into action. I started by contacting the HR department at work, detailing Mum's past activity on her dormant account and assuring them that I had taken full responsibility for managing it. The response was immediate, an invitation to meet with upper management to discuss the matter further. Alex stood beside me as we walked into the office, his hand in mine a physical anchor against any turmoil that lay ahead. The meeting was tense but productive, with the executives expressing gratitude for my transparency and proactive measures to mitigate any damage to our company's reputation. They agreed to let me continue managing Mum's account under close supervision, acknowledging its potential as an educational tool and testament to the healing power of digital memorials. The weight lifted from my shoulders as I left the conference room. It seemed we had weathered that particular storm. Meanwhile, Alex and I continued to refine our approach for integrating Mum's revived Instagram presence into the Shadows of Grief community. With our plan in place and the promise of a new beginning hanging precariously in the balance, I leaned into Alex, feeling his warmth and support. Of Grief community. We crafted a heartfelt message explaining our intentions, ensuring those who had followed her in life knew she was now part of their collective remembrance. Our post included an image of one of Mum's favorite quotes, "The darkest nights produced the brightest stars," as a symbol of hope and resilience. As we posted it, my heart raced with anticipation. The response was overwhelming, with countless comments flooding our feed almost immediately. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a vast ocean, watching waves of empathy and support crash against its shores. So many people had been touched by Mum's story, and they were eager to continue sharing it. In the midst of this digital outpouring, Alex and I discovered another gem hidden within Mum's account history. Amidst the mundane snapshots and everyday musings, we found a series of private messages she'd exchanged with Dennis, the enigmatic commenter who had first reached out after her passing. The correspondence revealed a deep emotional connection between them, one that transcended their initial digital introduction. Dennis had confided in Mum about his own tragic loss, and they had formed an unlikely bond centered on mutual understanding and support. His messages were raw and honest, revealing the pain of mourning alongside moments of profound gratitude for those who stayed by your side even in darkness. As we read these exchanges, Alex and I exchanged knowing glances. Dennis's story was woven into Mum's tapestry, a thread that connected us all. With our plan now firmly in motion, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. We had done everything possible to honor Mum's legacy while mitigating potential fallout at work. As the day drew to a close and night began to fall outside my apartment window, Alex pulled me into his arms, holding me close as we looked out at the cityscape. "Mum would be proud of us," he whispered softly against my ear. "She knew how much you wanted to help others find their way through grief." I nodded, a lump forming in my throat as I gazed up at him, our eyes locked in mutual understanding. The journey had been long and arduous, but here we were, standing together amidst the ruins of Mum's digital past, ready to forge an even brighter future. As Alex kissed me tenderly on the forehead, a newfound sense of hope bloomed within me. We would face whatever came next with courage, compassion, and each other by our sides. And in the shadows of grief, we had found not only solace, but also a community that would continue to bear witness to Mum's story, a testament to her enduring spirit and the power of love to transcend even death itself. Extensive, requiring countless hours of crisis management and media relations. Amidst it all, Alex remained my rock, offering unwavering support and reassurance. His presence gave me the strength to tackle each challenge head-on. Finally, after weeks of non-stop effort, things began to settle back into a semblance of normalcy at work. My reputation had weathered the storm, albeit with some lingering scars. As I sat in my office one morning reviewing emails and planning for the day ahead, my phone buzzed with an incoming text from Amber. "Hey Emma," her message read, "it's time to introduce Dennis officially as our community's newest ambassador. He's been instrumental in spreading awareness about the importance of online support during times of grief. Would love your input on the announcement plan." I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through me at the thought of Dennis and his dedication to our shared cause. His journey from anonymous commenter to beacon of hope within the shadows of grief community had been nothing short of remarkable. "Sounds great," I responded quickly. "Let's schedule a call to discuss further." As we set up a time to talk, my mind began to wander back to Dennis and his enigmatic past. Despite our growing bond over shared experiences of grief, there was still so many questions about the man behind the screen. I decided it was time to broach the subject with Amber during our upcoming call. "Hey, while we're on the topic of ambassadors," I said, once we'd finalized plans for Dennis's announcement, "have you ever heard anything from Dennis about his personal story? He seems incredibly dedicated to our cause, and I find myself curious about what led him here." Amber's response was thoughtful. "You know, we've never really pushed for details beyond his involvement with Mum's account. But there is one thing." She paused for a moment before continuing. "He mentioned in passing that he'd met Mum on another platform shortly after she lost her sister. Apparently, they bonded over shared grief and continued their friendship online. A sudden realization dawned upon me, and I felt my heart skip a beat. Do you think Dennis could have been Mum's secret companion all those years?" The possibility was both thrilling and terrifying. Amber's voice softened, filled with understanding. "It would certainly explain his devotion to our community's mission, as well as why he seems so attuned to your own grief journey." With these revelations in mind, I found myself growing increasingly eager for Dennis's involvement to be officially announced within the shadows of grief. Perhaps by sharing more about himself publicly, he might finally feel comfortable opening up further about his past. The day of the announcement arrived sooner than anticipated, and Amber reached out with an urgent message. Emma, we've had a last-minute change to the plan. Dennis would like you both to join the live stream today instead. My heart raced as I looked over at Alex, who was still oblivious to the online connections Mum's Instagram account had facilitated. Sounds good, I replied quickly, my mind already racing with possibilities. Account had unearthed. Alex nodded, his eyes filled with trust and support. Together, we logged into our devices, preparing to face an audience of grieving souls alongside Dennis. As we joined the live stream, Amber greeted us warmly from her end, before introducing Dennis as the newest ambassador of Shadows of Grief. As he began to speak, his voice resonated through my speakers, filling me with a sense of peace and belonging that I'd never experienced before in my life. With each passing moment, I felt Mum's presence surrounding us, not just in spirit but also within the digital space we'd created together. It was then that I realized her true legacy wasn't simply about sharing moments of joy or even providing a platform for others to share their grief stories. No, it was far more profound than that. Mum had given us something invaluable, a way to find connection amidst the darkest times, a reminder that we were never truly alone in our struggles. And as I looked over at Alex and then back at Dennis, I knew that her impact would continue to reverberate through every interaction within our cherished online community. As the live stream came to an end, Amber sent us all a final message. Thank you, Emma, for your unwavering dedication to Mum's vision. Tears welled up in my eyes as I read her words, feeling a deep sense of pride and fulfillment wash over me. In that moment, I knew Mum would be proud too, not just of our efforts to honor her memory, but also of the love and support we'd discovered for ourselves amidst the shadows of grief. Alex took my hand, giving it a gentle squeeze as if sensing my emotions. You did this, Emma, he whispered. Your mum's story lives on through you. And in that instant, I knew exactly what I wanted to do next. To ensure Mum's legacy would endure for generations to come by sharing her story with the world, one post at a time. Together, Alex and I had found a new path forward, built upon the foundation of love, loss, and the unbreakable bonds forged within the digital realm of Shadows of Grief. As we logged off our devices, ready to face whatever lay ahead, I couldn't help but smile. For in the darkest corners of the internet, Mum's light had never dimmed. It continued to shine bright, a beacon of hope and solace for all those lost souls still wandering through the shadows of grief.